The live stream, everybody. We are officially live on the VW personal page to talk today about the voice. So stop what you're doing, grab a notebook and a pen. The voice is very simply in your business, the $1 million foundation that breaks you through to every single level of success in your online business. So today we're going to be going through the 4 levels of speaking and what each of these levels represents and how you can step into the mastery of using your voice as an instrument that builds wealth in your business. So as you hop on, say hello in the comment section. I'm going to be giving you guys a second to grab your notebooks and your pens, and then we're going to get into today's live. Hi, Vaish. Who else is here? I see Robin's here. All right. I want to jump right in because I know some people are going to be watching the replay, and I want to make sure that you get as much value as you can in these 45 minutes. Hi, Alyssa. It's good to see you. Okay, so as you guys know, VW Legacy Friday is coming up on Friday, November 29th. We are going to be releasing one of the most, I would have to say, the most generous offer I've ever put out since starting my business. And today is going to be sneak peek of offer number 1. I'll tell you what it is at the end of this live. And then after that, we're going to be going into the brand tomorrow, and we'll be ending on Wednesday with the movement. And the movement being the movement that your brand starts, the movement that your brand sparks, and the movement that your voice ignites. And as you put these 3 pieces together, what you're going to discover is that you now have the blueprint to build wealth online. And I'm going to show you why in a moment, because this is very different than how you've likely been taught to build wealth growing up, or how you've heard about building wealth in the more traditional sense. When we look at today's day and age, we have an internet, we have online businesses, and we have assets that we are creating with our own intellectual property. So the House of We, for example, is an online membership, and it is an online asset that can be passed down and will continue to produce revenue whether I'm there or not. And this is the art and the true beauty of having passive revenue and then using that to build wealth long term. So as you're writing things down today, I want you to point towards the perspectives that are shifting in your brain. They'll start to happen on this call, but it's going to take a moment for that to really settle in and for you to then turn that into a new behavior and a breakthrough. Like I said, today we're going to be talking about the 4 levels of speaking and why the voice is, to me, the most important part of your business. Without your voice, you have nothing to build with. I want you to imagine right now that your voice is the architect of your legacy. It is the thing that builds the momentum and builds the memory that is required for people to know who you are. When I speak, I don't have to show my face for people to know who I am. When I speak, I don't have to even put an image out or put a graphic out for people to know who it is that they're hearing from. Because your voice is not just what you say, it's the feeling that you leave people with. So people remember your voice far after you stop speaking. When you're talking, that's you just using words to say something to someone. When you're speaking, it's you communicating an outcome that settles someone in a specific feeling. And they will feel that and remember that even after you leave the room. And when you do this often enough, you start to build trust with your community and you start to build authority within your industry. And that makes it easier for you to sell and market your programs, your offerings, your value online. But if you don't have a voice, then you do not have a microphone to share your vision. And if you don't have a way to share your vision, then you don't have anything to invite other people into. So I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if you know right now that your voice is something that you want to prioritize in 2025. That being able to jump on a live stream or communicate one of your offers or articulate the value of what you bring to an industry. Drop a 1 in the chat if this is something that you know you want to invest your time and attention on, because you know it's going to make the biggest difference in how people start to join you in your business. Okay, I'm seeing some 1s. Good. When I first started my business, I didn't have an email list. I know you've heard this before. Like, I didn't have an email list. I didn't have a sales page, all that stuff. But what I'm going to get to is I didn't have an email list. I had no idea how Facebook ads worked. I had no idea how the online business world worked. But before I started my business, I knew how to communicate and I knew how to speak. So instead of doing all these bells and whistles to try to get people to notice my stuff, I used to just hop on live streams and I would speak and I would sell my offers using my voice. And this has now grown into a multi-million-dollar brand that will outlive me and will carry on through future generations, all because I took the courage to speak and then also refine my voice and the way my voice is being articulated in the marketplace. Your voice is, I want you to imagine, a force of nature. It has the potential to change the entire atmosphere of whatever room you're in. Your voice, the Bible says, that your tongue has the ability to draw life or to draw death. That's how powerful God even made our voices. And we are the only species that can actually communicate intellectually via ideas and via sound that comes out of our mouths and then converts into words in our head. Like the actual act of speaking and bringing words to life is a unique gift that humans have. So when you learn how to leverage that gift and wield that gift to gather people together, you are presenting yourself in the seat of power without ever saying, I am powerful. Communicators are among the most influential and highest paid group of people in the world. If you think of writers, if you think of speakers, people who know how to communicate automatically have a leg up in whatever room they're in, whatever conversation they're in, regardless of whatever the activity is. If they know how to communicate, they have the power in the room. So let's get through the 4 levels. And then at the end, you're going to get to see where you are on each of these levels. And you'll get to see where your breakthrough is. And then I'll reveal what offer number 1 of VW Legacy Friday is going to be. Are you ready for level number 1? So I've seen and I've identified that there are 4 levels of speaking. I've been speaking for over 10 years. I've been using my voice to articulate ideas, to sell, to build businesses, to build brands for 10 years. And what I've seen is that most people stay at level 1 because they don't realize that there's 3 other levels of speaking that actually bring forward more income, more connection, and more engagement. But most people aren't taught these other levels. They're only taught level 1. Level 1 is surface speaking. So you can write this down. Level 1 is surface speaking. And this is the basic layer of speaking. The whole purpose of surface speaking is we do this every day. Whether you're a speaker or not, everyone needs to know how to surface speak, which is you're going to convey information. So the purpose of surface speaking is to convey information. And this is a very transactional way of communicating. So an example of this would be a casual greeting. It will be giving directions, general announcements. The whole purpose of me speaking in this sense is I want to give you directions, meaning I want to tell you exactly where to go from A to Z, and then you're going to take that information and go do what you need to do with it, and then it's over. This is where most people start with their speaking, and it's also where most people stay, because the main outcome of surface speaking is to be understood. And when you're understood, I want you to look at the dictionary definition of understood. It means to know something. So the outcome is I'm going to give you these directions just so you can know it, and then you're going to go do your own thing with it. But the mistake that most people make, and let's speak about this specifically through entrepreneurship, because all of you are using your voice to articulate, to bring forth value, to do all these things. And if you're only surface speaking, you're likely only telling your audience information, and then they're taking that information, because hopefully they understood it, and they're going to go do something with it. But that doesn't actually lead to any sort of connection, and it certainly doesn't lead to any sort of sales, and it doesn't lead to any sort of community or any sort of brand. So when we stay at surface speaking, we stay here, 1, because we don't know there's other levels to communicate from, and 2, we don't recognize the skill that's required to go to the next level. So all of you in this room right now should have a clear understanding of how to surface speak. If I said hi, you know how to say hi back. If I say, where's the bathroom? You know how to tell me where the bathroom is. If I ask you how you're doing, you're going to convey to me the information, which is I'm doing good or I'm doing well. That's surface speaking. And hopefully I understand what good means. I understand what this is, and we understand, and then we move on. When you're building connection, this is a higher level of skill. When you're building connection beyond the surface speaking, you are now joining and linking things together. So connection, the definition of connection is to join and link together. When you're joining and linking something together, you're now demonstrating your ability to not just speak, but to also articulate something that someone may not know. And that not only piques their interest, but it captures their attention. So if I got on this live and I just started to tell you what speaking is, I would be in a transactional basic way telling you about an offer or telling you about how to buy the offer. That's not interesting for you. What's more interesting for you is for me to join certain concepts together, link them together, and demonstrate my skill of being able to articulate value and bring you into a new perspective. And that then positions me in your mind and in your life as somebody who has authority and can teach you something. But until you can demonstrate to your audience that you know how to build connection through your voice, they likely will not continue to listen to you. So let's graduate into level 2. And I know some people are going to ask this. Yes, this live will be saved. You're going to want to comment replay in the comment section, and we will send you the link to get the exclusive replay access. Okay. And I'll put that at the end as well. So moving into level 2. Level 2 is slightly higher than level 1. It's still not at all tapping into the true potential of your voice, but it's better than staying at the surface. Level 2 speaking is intentional speaking. And this is the foundational layer. So if you're somebody who is working behind a desk, or you're someone who is, doing more transactional things throughout the day, you're not an entrepreneur, you don't need to build relationships, you're not really in the market for selling things, surface speaking is going to be fine for you. Unless you want to go beyond that, you can say beyond that. But if you're an entrepreneur, at the very base level, you need to know how to intentionally speak. This is where we take it up a notch. To intentionally speak is to speak with a purpose. It's to have every word is connected to a clear goal and a clear intention. So you're not just saying stuff to say it. Anybody can say something, but not everybody will speak. Anyone can talk, but not everyone will use their voice. Your voice is an instrument. It is an instrument that God gave you to create things and to move things and to build with. So when your instrument isn't tuned, you end up sounding like someone else, or you don't speak at all, you just talk. You can tell that I'm speaking right now. I'm using not just my voice, but I'm using my entire body to communicate something to you. If I was just talking, I'd probably just talk like this. And I would just say whatever I wanted to say, and I would just speak like this. But when I'm speaking, it's a completely different posture. It's a completely different tone, because I have a different intention, and each word in my mind is being designed to deliver you a specific feeling. So let's look at some examples of level 2. Level 2 is intentionally speaking to sell a product, to pitch an idea, or to present a solution. So whenever we're talking about products, ideas, solutions, we can't just do surface speaking, because surface speaking is just conveying information. And conveying information doesn't sell whatever the information is. It doesn't pitch the information, and it doesn't present the information as a solution. So if I were just to say, hey guys, I have a VW Legacy Friday coming up on Friday. It's going to go live at this time. Great. I'll see you guys on Friday. Okay. So that would be surface speaking. When I bring in intention, I'm going to pitch the idea that VW Legacy Friday is coming up on Friday, November 29th. And before I pitched that idea, I asked you, is it a priority for you right now to increase the skill of your voice and your ability to use that voice to create income and your ability to use that voice to create wealth? And a lot of people said yes. They put a 1 in the chat. So now I'm going to present this as a solution, meaning I outlined information. I thought about the different levels that I want to teach you. I put together a presentation and I'm going to use my voice to deliver it with intention. This is intentional speaking. And as you can see, it takes more effort than surface speaking. And most people confuse effort for embarrassment. Because the last time you put effort in something, you might have a negative association that I put all this effort in it and nobody liked it. Or I put all this effort in it and nobody understood it. Or I put all this effort in it and it didn't have the same result that I thought it was going to have. But when your effort is being weighed down by expectation, it never actually turns into anything. Your effort should be an expression of your excellence. When you're operating from excellence, you operate from the seat of everything has an intention. And I want to deliver this with excellence to the highest of my ability, to the best of my ability. And my effort is an expression of that. My effort is not I expect this in return, or I expect them to do this after. I don't have any expectation of you on this live. I have no expectation of what you're going to do after this live. I'm just speaking from the effort that is a natural expression of my excellence. And for some of you, you need to redefine your relationship with effort. If you're just going to do the surface level, basic, bare minimum, your voice is going to sound like surface level, basic information. If you're here to seriously use your voice to build wealth, to build a business, to build a brand, you're going to have to put in the effort to intentionally speak and not just convey information, but create connection. Intentional speaking leads to connection. Let's keep going deeper. How is connection really created? Connection is created through clarity. The more clear you are in your voice, the more clear you are in the way you communicate, the more easily someone can connect with you. And when you look at precision, precision is what sets you apart. So I'm clear in the way that I'm communicating, meaning I'm building a connection, and then I want that connection to be set apart. I don't want it to feel like every other connection. I don't want it to be like every other connection. I want it to be set apart. And your precision is what sets you apart. Your precision is your ability to accurately articulate something. It's to be so detail-oriented in the effect that you want to create, that your voice doesn't sound like everyone else. It actually sounds like you set it apart. Your effort naturally starts to do this because the first thing that goes for most entrepreneurs is effort. Because most entrepreneurs have fallen for the lie that it needs to be easy for it to be working. So you've got a whole bunch of entrepreneurs who have fallen for that lie. They're now chasing ease. Meanwhile, the ones who are ready to be set apart, who are ready to stand out, who are ready to move rooms, who are ready to create the skill that actually makes people feel, they're more concerned with effort. They're chasing effort and excellence. And it's not easy. Being a speaker is not easy. Being a skillful speaker that can take their voice and use it as an instrument to sell with, to create with, to produce with, to pitch with, that is not easy. That takes skill, that takes practice, that takes reps, that takes consistency. So as we go deeper into level 2, we're starting to realize that the clarity builds connection and the precision is starting to build trust. Now we have the very basics for level 3. But you can see that without those 2 basic things, connection, clarity, and trust, we don't have anything to build on. Because if I'm not clear, then you're confused, meaning you're going to go somewhere else. If I'm not building trust with you, you're not actually going to invest your attention here, your money here, or your time here. And if you don't feel a connection, there's nothing for us to build together. So without these 3 foundations in your speaking, it doesn't go anywhere. There's nowhere for you to go. And a lot of you are trying to build your business without your voice. You're hiding from that part. You're trying to do everything you can to build the business without speaking. You're trying to do everything you can to build the business without making a sound, without making a noise. I was just on a coaching call before this, earlier this morning inside the House of We. And one of the women asked, I've been rewriting my copy again and again and again and again, and I just can't seem to press publish. I just can't seem to get it out there. And I feel like my perfectionism is getting in the way. And I said to her, I was like, that's not perfectionism, because perfectionists still execute. We might be obsessed and kooky while we're executing, but we're executing, because perfectionists actually get satisfaction out of seeing their excellence in the world. I'm a perfectionist. And you can either let perfectionist be this block that is stopping you from creating, or you can realize that that perfectionism is just excellence dressed in a different outfit. So I am the person that's like, let's reshoot it because it needs to be better. Or let's redo it because it could be over here. Or let's re-record that. Or let's watch that back and see what we can improve, because I want it to be excellent. I want them to have the best of the best of the best. What she was describing was procrastination. And some people will use their perfectionism as a way to procrastinate. And procrastination is the delay of a situation that's going to bring you discomfort. And so I asked her, I was like, well, what's the fear and what's the discomfort of having your work out online? And when we got to the real fear, she's afraid of how her voice is going to be perceived and how other people are going to accept this new expression that she's bringing through. So she then decided to get all her perfectionism habits. And she's like, yeah, I'm in my perfectionist loop. And she's using that as an excuse to procrastinate putting her work out in the world. So I said to her, I was like, if we take the fear off of your voice and we actually position you as, I'm excited to share my voice with the world, and that if God gave me this idea to bring through, if God gave me this vision to articulate, then God also gave me the covering as I bring it through. Then God also gave me the resources I'm going to need to handle any sort of criticism, if that ends up happening, which it usually doesn't. And I'll be able to handle any sort of obstacle that comes my way. So there's no longer a fear to show up. So there's nothing to procrastinate, and we don't need to use perfectionism to delay the outcome anymore. We can just go. So as you're bringing all of this through, you're standing on your excellence, and you're letting that effort move your voice through in a way that sets you apart. When you speak intentionally, it demonstrates respect for your audience. When you speak with confusing words, or you're beating around the bush, or you're talking all slow because you can't figure out what you're saying because you didn't prepare, that is wasting your audience's time. You're on this live with me right now. I don't want to waste your time trying to figure out where my notes are, trying to say hi to everybody, trying to make sure I look good, trying to make sure this. I'm here to deliver you a specific piece of value. And so when I'm speaking intentionally, when I'm speaking directly to the camera, when I'm very clear, what that's communicating to you without me saying it is, I respect you. I respect your time. I respect your attention. And I respect you being here right now. And when I respect you, it means that we're building a relationship. When I show up unprepared, not sure what I'm saying, timid, like this, reclused, sort of all over the place, not able to make eye contact, I'm communicating to you that I don't respect you and I don't value your time or your attention. I'm more concerned with how you see me. I'm so nervous, not because I don't know what to say, but because I'm more afraid of what you're going to see in me than I am excited for me to see you. So we have to flip our perspective and stop caring so much about how people are seeing you and get in the seat of, what I care about most right now is me giving you this value. I don't care about what I'm going to get. I care about what I'm giving right now. That's what births intentional speaking. When you have that attitude, your voice changes. When you have that perspective, the words you use change. When you have that posture, the confidence and the authority and the clarity in which you speak changes. And now, after this, you are ready for level 3. Level 3, if you want to write this down, is relational speaking. Relational speaking is the connection layer. So we're building an even deeper level of connection through intimacy. Intimacy cannot happen without trust, without connection, and without clarity. Without those three ingredients, that foundation, we cannot build intimacy. And intimacy is what truly leads to influence. If I can build, and actually before I go there, let me just have you write this down. The purpose of relational speaking is to build relationships. That is the entire purpose. It's not necessarily to get you to buy something. It's not necessarily to get you to, jump into a program or do anything like that. The intention of level 3 of relational speaking is to build a memorable relationship. And in that relationship, the skill that I'm exercising is my ability to evoke emotion from you and to create trust within our relationship. And I do that by creating an environment of intimacy. So let's go deeper into this. Some examples of relational speaking is storytelling, coaching, and personal conversations. Personal conversations, not in the sense of one-to-one in the DMs, but personal conversations in, I want you right now, and drop a 1 if you can feel this, only answer this honestly. I want you to feel right now that I'm only speaking to you. That even though there's 35 people on this live right now, I'm only speaking to you. I'm speaking directly to you. I'm not speaking to the whole room. I'm speaking to you. That is relational speaking, is being able to make the room feel like you are speaking directly to them. So you're having a personal conversation with me right now in your living room or your bedroom or on your walk or wherever you are right now. And I don't need to jump in front of you to do that. It's the way that I'm communicating right now that's having you feel that. And I'm doing that because I've created an environment of intimacy. So let's go deeper into intimacy, because this is a mistake that I see some entrepreneurs make. They mistake vulnerability for intimacy. There's a huge difference between vulnerability and intimacy. Vulnerability is an experience that you are having for you. So when I'm vulnerable, I am sharing a part of myself so that you can understand me more. Okay, so that's vulnerability. And that takes courage, it takes bravery, and we're usually going to share something when we're being vulnerable. We're going to share something that is scary to share or that has a lot of emotion or a lot of personal meaning to you. It wouldn't be vulnerable if it didn't mean something to you. Like right now, this is not me being vulnerable. I don't feel vulnerable sharing anything I'm sharing right now. This is me being a teacher, educating. This is me expressing a specific level of value to you as the individual. Now, if I wanted to be vulnerable with you, I could talk to you about the first time that I spoke on stage when I was so scared and I ended up having all these intrusive thoughts. Or I could talk to you about the first time that I taught a class and I talked so fast that I literally don't remember what anything was and I blacked out. Or I could talk to you about the time when I was little and I was afraid of choking. And so I spent most of 6 to 8 years old barely speaking. That would be vulnerable. I'm sharing a vulnerable piece of information or a vulnerable story. And I'm doing that so that you can see me more. And in seeing me more, you begin to feel like you can also show yourself. So it's like going first, like, hey, I'll be vulnerable and then you can be comfortable to be vulnerable too. Vulnerability is beautiful. I highly support it. And there's something deeper that takes a little bit more skill to create, and that is intimacy. So vulnerability is an experience for you. Intimacy is an environment for them being your audience. So vulnerability points back to me. Intimacy is for you. How? Why? So when we look up the word intimacy, we are looking at something that is deeper than vulnerability because it has this specific texture of, wow, I'm feeling something inside of me that I can't quite explain. And I can feel like right now I'm really connected to this person without words, that I don't need words, actually don't even need stories. I just feel like I'm understanding and I'm connecting with this person beyond human language. It's literally an environment. And we create this environment because when you can get them to feel something that they've never felt before, that's intimate. When I'm in class with my students, when I'm on coaching calls, or like in the House of we just did our Money Monday Q&A, that call got very intimate. Not because of anything I vulnerably shared, but because I created an environment where people's armor could come down and the conversation could deepen. And I watched the room change. If you were on that call this morning, you know what happened in that room. And you know that that would have only happened if an environment of intimacy was created. And I wasn't worried about you seeing me. I was creating an environment for you to feel connected to the space you were in so that we could increase the value together through the depth of conversation. So when you can get them to feel something they've never felt before, that's like, whoa. When your voice can get someone to feel something they've never experienced before, they are intimately connected to you. They will never forget you. They will never forget your voice. They will never forget that room. They will never forget that moment. Not because of vulnerability, but because of the environment of intimacy. When you do this, it immediately creates an effect on the room. And so that comes with a higher level of responsibility. And this is why most people don't go to level 3. Because if you stay at surface speaking, there's no responsibility there at all besides just to convey regular basic information. When you go to intentional speaking, the responsibility is bare minimum, because at the bare minimum, we're just building basic trust and connection. And then after that, I still haven't, done anything to transform your life. I'm just clearly communicating in a way where you can feel connected to me in that moment that we are exchanging. When we get into relational speaking, that's when the responsibility goes up. Because if I'm going to build that level of intimacy with a group of people, and I'm going to speak in a way that makes people feel something, I've got to be ready and willing to be responsible for what's on the other side of that. And most of the time, what's on the other side of that is a deeper relationship, is harder questions, me delivering harder solutions, me showing up with even more integrity, me listening with a higher skill set and a deeper EQ, and me knowing how to then take that intimacy and ground it in a way where it can turn into integration. Because one thing you don't want to do is intimately open a room and then not know how to land them, not know how to integrate them. So this is where in level 3, the facilitator in you has to come out. So you're no longer just speaking, but you are now facilitating an experience. And when you know how to do this, you not only get paid more because it's a higher value skill, but the breakthrough that you are responsible for creating in other people and you're responsible for delivering, the value of that is higher. The return on that investment is higher. The memory, the impact of that is higher. So relational speaking is level 3. It's a rare level because it requires way more skill, and it requires you to step out of yourself and into being a facilitator. Some practical tips that I want to give you to start to step into this, because I know a lot of you are going from level 2 to level 3 right now. And I want you to keep track of that as I'm sharing these. Like, where are you at within the levels? Are you level 1? Are you level 2? Are you level 3? And, where are you graduating next? You don't want to go from level 1 to level 4. That's impossible. You need to go through each of these because each of them have benefits and outcomes to them. But a practical tip that I want you to consider is, before you speak, are you sharing to connect or are you sharing to release? This is going to help you gut check what it is that you bring through. Because if your whole brand and your whole voice is vulnerability, 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 that's just you releasing. When you know how to facilitate intimacy, you're now sharing to connect, to link certain things together. And that has a higher value. That's a different tone. That's a different level. It's a different skill set. So before you speak, ask yourself, am I sharing this to connect? Or am I sharing this to release something? Second thing I want you to ask yourself is, when you tell your story, does it open a door for the other person to share theirs, or does it close them off because you're focused on yourself? Your story, which we're going to talk about more tomorrow when we get to the brand, which is the second part in the trifecta of wealth, your story is not actually about you. Your story is about your ideal client. They are the center of your story. If they can't see themselves in your story, then the story is no longer valuable for them. If they can't feel themselves in your story, then your story loses value for them. If they can't connect the dots of their life to their desired outcome through your story, then your story is not doing what it's meant to do in your brand, which is to build connection, to build influence, and to create a legacy. So when you're sharing your story, does it open the door or does it close the door? For some of you, I want to get into this example because as I was getting things ready for today's live stream, I listened to all kinds of people just to keep, tuned into the marketplace and to hear, where's everybody at? There's a specific tone that I see some entrepreneurs use where, and tell me if you've seen this before, where they're speaking and they could be saying something really beautiful or telling a really beautiful story or sharing a really beautiful insight. And when they're sharing it, it almost sounds like underneath what they're sharing, they're saying you're an idiot. It sounds good on the surface and it's like good information and it's good wisdom. But right underneath it, if we were to turn the volume down, we would hear them say, you're an idiot. You're not as smart as me. You're not as good as me. And I heard it today and I was like, that is the breakthrough in level 3. Because that actually closes the door, even though your intention was to open it. And even though your intention was to build connection and do all the things, it actually closes the door. And it sounds like this. I'm going to try to put it on because it's a little bit difficult for me to pull it through, but I want to try to put it on. I can't even do it. It's so performative. I can't even do it. But it's like, it's this very sneaky, sly way of like, I'm sharing stuff, but you're a freaking idiot. You should know this already and I know it and that's why you should hire me. And it's like, okay, no. Why are you talking like that? Why are you talking to me like that? Like I can hear what you're saying. Or it's that same voice where it's like, it's so direct and it's so clear that it actually has the signal of telling the person on the other side, I'm being so clear because I actually think you're dumb. And I'm doing this very intentionally because that's really what they think. People who talk like this think that their audience is actually stupid. And they think they're smarter than their audience, or they think that their audience is dumb. And when you truly have that undercurrent and you have that, I talk about this with my girlfriend Topsy all the time. It's something we have to catch in ourselves as entrepreneurs. We can get really, really in our own stuff where we're like, oh yeah, I'm better, I'm smarter, and this is, I'm all that and all, like I know everything. And while you might know a lot, you don't know everything. And if you know something that somebody doesn't know, your job is to serve them with it, not to speak down to them through a kind of somewhat powerful voice. So with these voices, it's really sneaky. And the thing is, these voices sell a lot of offers and products. They do well with sales because a lot of people like to buy from those voices. A lot of people unconsciously like to buy from people that put them down. And I'll talk about that patterning later. But a lot of people like to buy from that because they think that by buying from it, they're actually going to get closer to this smartness that doesn't actually exist. And that they're acting out like an old pattern. So when you see these voices in the marketplace, you will see them sell because they do well with sales. But they're terrible for brand building. Hi, Atana. Good to see you, Queen. They're terrible for brand building. These do not build large brands. and they don't speak to the masses. So my level of teaching, like what I'm teaching when it comes to the voice, I'm teaching the women who want to write books, who want to be on stages, who want to serve thousands and thousands of people, who want to lead a global movement. That's who I love to teach. If you want to stay on Instagram and you want to build a brand on Instagram, that voice can take you pretty far. But that voice will die in a room on a stage, like a real stage. That voice is immature sounding and actually does not translate to the masses in any capacity. So we have to look at that in our relational speaking. That doesn't create intimacy. And if you can show a room that you know how to build intimacy, that room will multiply and grow faster than anything you've ever seen. Because deep down, that's what people are craving. So you could have the best information in the world. You could have the best strategy in the world. You could have the best process. But if you don't know how to build intimacy, your brand will run into a roadblock and it won't be able to grow anymore. And if it does grow, it's going to be a very transactional feeling brand. It will not have a pulse. It won't feel like anything. It'll simply feel like a commodity, a thing, like a brick that you buy off of a shelf. So now let's get into level 4, which is the highest level of speaking. And this level is transformational speaking. It is the mastery layer. This is the layer where you make the most money. It's the layer where you can increase your income the fastest. And it is the layer that builds global brands. It is the layer that builds legacy. It is the layer that changes the fabric of the next generation. It is the layer that outlives everything else. It is the layer that lives on in the sands of time. And it is the transformational speaking layer. The whole purpose of this layer is to speak in a way that inspires change, action, and lasting impact. So this is beyond just building a relationship now. This is starting to inspire action, aka you are speaking with your ideal client's desired outcome in mind. So you have a specific outcome that you're after when you speak. Examples of this would be keynote speeches, it would be sermons, motivational talks, it could be anything that is involving you transformationally speaking in a way where the room is changed afterwards. Just had to remove someone because red flags. Okay. At this level, your voice is no longer just communicating and building relationship, but it is actually transforming. So your voice is no longer just connecting randomly, it's transforming as it's being expressed. At this level, you're not asking, what am I going to say or what am I going to teach? You're asking, what transformation, write this down, do I want the listener to experience? When you start to sell using transformational speaking, the speed at which the buyer can make a decision is so fast that you're not going to be able to keep up with it. Most of you, though, are selling from level 2. Level 2 is just intentional foundational speaking. And it takes a really long time to build a sale with that, because all that's doing is creating connection, which is great. We need that. But connection doesn't lead to a sale. Transformation and action does. Transformation is what actually leaves the legacy. So when I speak, I don't just want people to connect. I don't just want them to feel intimacy. I want them to change on the inside. I want the tone of my voice to be able to change something inside of you for the better, for the good, for God's glory. When I speak, that's my biggest intention. Whether I'm speaking to you on a live, whether I'm in a one-to-one client conversation, whether I'm speaking to my team, whether I'm teaching on a stage, whether I'm in an interview, when I open my mouth, my primary focus is, what transformation do I want the listener to experience through my voice? And when your voice is under the authority of the Lord, when your voice is under the authority of God, the creator who gave you the ability to speak, when your voice is being breathed on by the Holy Spirit, it's not you that they're hearing. It's God's Spirit within you that they're experiencing. And that takes a completely different level of responsibility, yes, but a completely different level of submission and surrender. A lot of you have surrendered your business, but you have not surrendered your voice. Your voice is being gripped to by your own flesh, and you can only speak in a certain volume. You don't actually even feel when you speak. You say things, but you don't feel them. You speak, but you can't feel anything. You don't let your entire body get involved. You don't let all the different tones that you have access to get involved. You don't let yourself yell and get loud when you need to. You don't know how to get low and distinct when you need to. There's a whole range of the way you speak that you could experience, but you're not surrendered, or you're not actually under the submission of God. So the one who created your voice only has so much access to you because you're so committed to how cool you sound, how trendy you sound, how good you sound, how smart you sound, how intelligent you sound, that you don't know how God sounds through you. You don't even know his voice. You don't know his guidance. You don't, like, even on this live, God has redirected me about 5 times. You would never know because I don't have a plan. I'm submitted to his plan. I have words on the screen, notes to stay on track. But if God decides to go this way, I'm going this way. And you can feel that depth of submission when I speak. And so when you're experiencing my voice, you're not experiencing me. You're experiencing my submission. That's the gift of transformational speaking, is that you're not experiencing information on a surface level. You're not experiencing a pitch or a sale. You're not experiencing, you can't even pinpoint where the intimacy is coming from. You're just immediately placed within the transformation. So now we've skipped every single level and we're in the deepest part right now. Now we're in the transformation. So if I say, want to go over here, we have vocal codes starting in January where you get to learn how to do this yourself. I'm selling, but I'm not selling. I already gave you the transformation. I don't need to sell you to convince you that the transformation exists. I placed you in the transformation and then asked you, do you want to keep going? And if you want to keep going, you don't pay for value because you already got it. You never have to search for value. You don't need to see if my voice is valuable. I'm speaking very clearly. There's value here. But you get to pay for access. So if you want me to personally hear you speak and give you direct feedback and 10 years of training and hearing people and speaking on stages and moving throughout the world with my voice, building brands with my voice, if you want that level of expertise and my eyes on your business and your voice, you're going to pay for that access. And if you don't want to pay for that access and invest in that access, then at least you still got a transformation. We built a relationship and there's the next time. So this changes the way you sell. It changes the way you buy. It changes the way your audience feels. And it changes the credibility and the authority of your brand. This is your $1 million foundation. When you master level 4, when you master transformational speaking, there is no limit to your income. There is literally no limit to how much money you can make. There's no limit to how much influence you can have. There's no limit to how much impact you can have. And a lot of people don't want the responsibility of that. They like the responsibility of being able to perfectly understand and perfectly measure everything. And if that's you, you're going to stay at level 2, where everything feels put together. Transformational speaking will have you sweating. It will have you roaring because you're no longer giving information or even sharing stories. You're literally using words to guide people to shift their perspective. You are using the intelligence of your words to change an entire belief system within them. You're taking the words that God gave you, you're converting them into energy, you're saying them with a specific tone in the back of your throat so that it changes their behavior. When you do that, ain't nobody asking you, how much is it? Wait, let me see. They're asking you, how soon can I get in? How fast can I get next to you? How fast can I walk into the room with you? Like, I don't care where, how. But if I were to get on this live and just stay at level 2, where I'm just like connecting with you, hey guys, just here to connect. We're hanging out. Oh my gosh, okay, let me see who else is here. Oh my gosh, hi. Hey. Yeah, we're talking about the voice. The voice is really important. It's so important. You're going to need it. You're going to need it to do all things. You're going to have to do it. And, you know, some of you, that will get you a couple sales, will get you a couple likes. People will start to, rah-rah around it, but none of that is memorable. That doesn't create a memory. That doesn't build anything intimate. That doesn't bring anybody into any sort of transformation. And if you are a coach, if you are an entrepreneur, if your solution is promising a transformation, the fastest way that you can get your audience to understand that transformation is through your voice. It's through your voice. There's so many of you right now that are trying to figure out how to make your offer more tangible. You do something more energetic. You do something that's a little bit harder to describe, and you keep trying to figure out the words. What if you just put them in the transformation through your voice? And they're like, you know what? I don't even know. Wealth embodiment, what? I don't know what that is, but I loved what I felt when I heard you speak. I'm never going to forget what I felt inside of myself as I heard you speak. You just created a memory in my head. Not everybody does that. So this must be rare. When your voice can create that level of transformation, it builds a rare memory in someone's mind. And that rare memory is worth a lot of money. People will pay thousands of dollars to turn that memory into a behavior, to turn that memory into a new life, to turn that memory into long-lasting legacy and transformation. So your voice is the foundation of your online business. Your voice is what people are going to remember far after you're gone. Even when somebody passes away, you will forget what they look like. You will not forget what they sound like. You might forget how they looked on this day, how their hair was, what expression they used to make on their face. Even with my grandpa, I can remember the sound of his voice. The sound. There's something about the sound of someone's voice, and it's not by accident. We are all extensions of the kingdom. If you're a believer, you are an extension of the kingdom. And God gave us a voice to represent that kingdom, to speak, to share, to articulate. You were given a tongue, a throat, a mind that can all somehow work together without you even thinking, without you consciously thinking about it. And that's what true mastery is being able to do something without consciously thinking about it. What would your voice sound like if you weren't consciously thinking about it? You just let it roll out of you as one full transformational experience. What would happen to the growth of your business, your brand? What would happen within your audience if you knew how to articulate ideas and concepts in a way that linked them together, in a way that showed people that you are rare, that you stand out, that you don't think like everyone else? Stop speaking and showing people that you're thinking and start sharing without thinking. But a lot of you, when you're talking, they're just watching you think. And they're like, okay, I could go somewhere else to do this. Bye. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's kind of what ends up happening. That's what you said. If you watch some of my old lives, that's what used to happen because you're so nervous. So all people are doing is just like watching you think. You're not actually saying anything. You're not actually speaking in a way that's bringing them into an experience. So level 1, surface speaking. That's the basic. Everybody should have that down. Level 2, intentional speaking. This is foundational. This is going to be necessary for connection and clarity. Level 3 is relational speaking. This is you building intimacy and starting to step into the role of the facilitator. So a conversation of selling, you sharing your products, you exchanging with the marketplace. You are a facilitator of an experience. Level 4, which is the highest level of speaking, is transformational speaking. And that is when you are placing your ideal client in the transformation through your voice and then presenting them with the solution. And you are influencing people for the rest of their life. That is what I teach you inside Vocal Codes, which is going to be the first offer that is available inside the VW Legacy Friday offer. So you're getting 3 offers in one. First one is going to be Vocal Codes. Vocal Codes is a program I've run for the last 3 years. I've watched hundreds of people go through this program, and it changes their voice. It changes literally the shape of their face. It changes how they carry their body. And I'm not going to be humble here. I'm going to humble brag. This is my bread and butter. If there's one thing I know how to do, is how to take a timid, shy, ineffective voice and turn it into a transformational force of nature that changes the face of wealth as the world knows it. I know how to take a voice that is not having any sort of influence, and I know how to teach you a specific system to start building influence and income that has no cap, that doesn't have a limit. You can literally just keep going if you want to. And it turns into an actual legacy. This is what I know that people in my community value. You don't just value money. You don't just value Instagram. You don't just value a presence. What you really want to do is create a legacy. You want to create something that will outlive you. You want to create something that is meaningful, that doesn't just have an impact now, but has an imprint later. You want to reshape your industry. You want to reshape the way that the things are being talked about, things are being expressed. The fastest way to do that, the most effective, the most productive way to do that is through your voice. It is the $1 million foundation that you can build anything and everything off of. And it is also the skill that most people skip. It's a skill that most people avoid because it's the skill that most people are afraid of. But guess what? Your biggest moneymaker is also your biggest fear. So once you get over this, there's literally nowhere you can't go. Your voice will walk you through every room you want to go into. Your voice will knock down every door they said it was closed. And your voice has the potential to actually take you to a completely different level in your business. So I'm very excited to introduce this on Friday. If you aren't already on the VIP list, my VIPs are getting a private event on Friday, and they're also getting early access to the offer. There's going to be limited spots to the VW Legacy Friday offer because these programs are live. And so I don't want hundreds of you in them. It's going to be actually an intimate space where you get coaching and mentorship with me. So Vocal Codes will be the first offer that you get access to within the VW Legacy bundle that you're going to get. And I'm going to announce it on Friday. Laura asked, and if you're just getting started, well, yeah, you need a voice. I'm telling in the beginning, I just shared with you, it doesn't matter if you have an email list. You can have all the things set up in the world. If you cannot speak in a way that articulates value, if you can't confidently make eye contact and communicate, it's going to take you 10 times longer to build your brand online. Most people aren't going to meet you in person, you guys. And I think sometimes we forget that. I'm maybe going to meet 10% of you in this lifetime if you come to one of my events or something in person. Most of you will only experience my voice through a screen. So I want you to really put that in perspective, because a lot of people think they need to be further along to start speaking. You don't. You need that in the beginning because it's going to help you grow faster, and it's also going to be your weapon. It's going to be your sword. It's going to be your offering that actually builds everything else. You can have the greatest idea in the world, but if you don't know how to communicate it, it goes nowhere. So it doesn't matter if you're just starting out. It's actually even better if you're just starting out. I wish this was here for more people in the beginning. Hey, Tamasha. Oh, good to see you. I was just with Topsy last night. We were talking about you. Okay. I know you haven't released the bundle offer. Will you be offering a payment plan? No, I will not be offering a payment plan because let me tell you guys something. This VW Legacy Friday offer is over $5,800 worth of value. You're getting 3 of my signature offers for the price of 1 offer. So it's not for somebody who is doing payment plans. If you're jumping into this bundle, you are full and ready to build a 7-figure online business. You're ready to do multiple 6 figures. You're ready to increase your numbers massively. And that is going to require an investment on your end. And so that investment is going to be a fraction of what it would be if you bought these programs individually. But there's no payment plan because there'd be no way for me to actually build a payment plan that matches the access that you're going to get. So it's 1 payment. It's going to be the price of 1 program. So you're getting literally 3 programs for the price of 1. So I can't think of a better investment than that. All right, so make sure you're on the VIP list. The link is in my IG stories. It's also in my bio. And when you get on VIP, you're also getting bonuses. You'll get the event on Friday, and you'll get early access when we open the offer on Friday. Tomorrow, we're going to go into the brand. So make sure you show up for day 2. We'll be talking about building influence through your brand, which I'm very excited for because this is going to be incredibly important for what we're doing in 2025. The brand that you build is going to be more important than the business. It's going to be more important than all of your offers. It's going to be more important than your social media presence. And I'm going to talk about why that is and my unique perspective on what a brand really means, what building a brand really means. So if that is something you've been curious about, definitely show up tomorrow. We'll be back here at 3 p.m. Pacific. And for anybody that wants the replays, type replay in the comments below, and then we will automatically send you the link to get the exclusive replay access. I love you guys. God bless you. And I will see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific. Mwah. Bye, everybody.